Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to be taking a look at a game by Ken Kennedy. Now, Ken has a very interesting progression of games that he has designed. They all feature similar styles of presentation and mechanics to some extent. However, the progression of games is very interesting. First of all, Ken released The Drifter, a Wild West adventure game, similar in some ways to Barbarian Prince or the old Choose Your Own Adventure books. Got to admit, I'm not a big fan of sort of Western games, Wild West with cowboys in it. I'm not a big fan of those games. I haven't even played Red Dead Redemption. After that came Space Drifter, which was an evolution of the game, both in terms of the theme, but also in terms of some of the mechanics. Now, I did feature that one on the channel. Sci-Fi Drifter. I did make the mistake of printing from the PDF. Gotta be honest, either play from the PDF through a tablet or phone because it has some amazing hyperlinks, or buy the hard copy. Don't print from the PDF, it's too big. But yeah, we had The Drifter, which was what, Wild West. We had Star Drifter, which was a sci-fi version. Then there was The Adventurer. I think I have the hard copy coming, which was a fantasy game. Again, very similar mechanics and sort of gameplay. And then he decided to do a fourth game. And you may be wondering, why the hell is he playing with that golf ball? It's very distracting. Well, the fourth game is a golf game. Courses and clubs. And we are going to have a look at this, have a little bit of a playthrough so you can see why, even if you're not interested in golf, why this is still a great game to own. Now, you can find this on, I think, Drive-Thru RPG. It's about $4, I think. But let's have a look. So, Courses and Clubs, the latest game by Ken Kennedy. Now, this is a lot smaller than his other games in terms of number of pages. I think this is only 30 pages. It's a very small, like I say, a very small document compared to The Drifter, Star Drifter, The Adventurer. In fact, I would, if you are going to print it from the PDF, I would recommend printing it as a booklet. However, for some reason, my printer was refusing to print some of the tables. You can see like there's an edge of a table here, but for some reason my printer was giving me grief and wouldn't print out a bunch of the tables. But I think it has been designed to be printed out in booklet form. But I'll show you in a second the sort of similarities in terms of the presentation and how you actually go through the game. Does that make sense? I'll show you. But with the game, I don't think there is a hard copy available to purchase. To be honest, I don't know whether it's worth it. It's not, like I say, it's only 30 pages. So if you print double-sided, it's easy to print. And if you print as a booklet, it's even easier and cheaper. But yeah, and I'm going to be honest, the manual that you are provided with, I think after I played my first game, I've barely used the manual after that, because along with this manual that kind of tells you how to play and gives you a few examples, once you've kind of played a couple of holes, you find that you don't actually need this manual anymore. You're just using the rules. And this rules document, again, comes with the file. And it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think 6 pages. And this is where the similarity with Ken's other games comes in. You're going to have a whole bunch of these sort of numbered paragraphs that you'll be told to go to a certain place if this is happening, go to another place if this is happening. Very much like sort of Barbarian Prince or Choose Your Own Adventure. But in terms of the content of what's inside these paragraphs and flipping around and going here and there, the content is very different, and it provides a different game, but with the same format. Again, it's very hard for me to describe, but you'll see as we go through exactly what I mean. So, when you purchase this game, you're going to get a manual, and like I say, I really only used this when I was learning the game. After that, I haven't really touched it because everything's in here. All the instructions, the step-by-step sort of cause and effects, whether you hit a bunker, whether you go in the water, whether you go on the fairway, whether you hold the putt and stuff like that. It's all in this little rules document here, which again, it's only 6 pages, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. And again, this is all I've been using in sort of games after the first game. What else do you get? Well, you will be getting player sheets where you'll be putting down your player information, your golf player information. Not a lot of info, to be honest with you. There's not much that you have to kind of roll up. You've only got 3 stats: power, accuracy, and will. The skills are generated from these abilities, plus a dice roll to add some randomness. You'll then check your power of your power ability to see what will be your average yard with all the clubs. And then at the bottom here is a multiplication table where you can generate the first target number. No, not the first target number, really. It's the first step of generating results. Again, I'll explain everything as we come to it, but you will be getting a player sheet. You will also need scorecards. Now, this is where you're going to be writing down every time you hit the ball or every stroke. Full and proper knowledge of the game of golf is not 100% necessary to play this game or even to enjoy this game, but some basic knowledge of the terms would be useful. So, for example, what does stroke mean? What does par mean? What does a wedge do? What's the difference between a wedge and an iron kind of thing? I would say that you need to have some basic knowledge of the terminology. Now, with these scorecards, you can actually just write all the information every stroke you take. Where is the ball lying? Is it on the fairway? Is it in the rough? Is it in a bunker? The distance that you hit, the distance. You can fill out all this information for every hole that you play, and you can keep a complete record of every course that you play as I suppose it's a kind of journaling or record keeping of your games. But what you could also do is, I think Ken recommends laminating these and using a marker to kind of write down the information. Then when you go to the next hole, sort of just rub everything off and write it on the same sheet, which can also be done. I've been basically keeping these and just printing out new sheets every time because I like to keep records. What else do you get? Well, you also get this sort of quick reference sheet, which is actually 2, with all the sort of tables that you're going to need to reference as you're playing the game. Now, on first impressions, it looks intimidating, I suppose. A lot of tables, a lot of numbers. It's not as difficult as it may appear. This game could, I suppose, it could intimidate people. It could make people think that it's going to be a difficult game, complex, a lot of rules. It's not, trust me, okay? It may look that way, but it is actually a very simple game to play. So yeah, you'll get this quick reference sheet, which is actually 2 pages. I've printed this front and back for easy reference. And then the last thing are the courses that you are going to be playing on. Now, the game comes with 5 basic courses, which will give you all the information for each of the holes that you're going to play. So all 18 holes will be on this course sheet. So this is for Augusta, 18 holes here. So you've got information about the hole number, the tee off ease factor. Again, I'll explain that in a second. The distance to the green from the tee, par, possible hazards that you can encounter, type of green, whether you've got slopes or whether it's level or whether it's tricky, and then what distance would count as being out of bounds. Now, there are some special rules or some special notes for certain holes if there is something out of the ordinary or something special. So you can see here for holes 10 and 11 on Augusta, there are actually some special rules that can affect your play. So you get Augusta, you get St Andrews, you get Sawgrass, Pebble Beach, and Pinehurst number 2 in the basic file when you buy this. However, In a very rare occurrence, I've actually been able to get onto Board Game Geek over the last couple of days. I don't know what happened. For the last couple of years, I've had the hardest time accessing Board Game Geek. But recently, I've actually been able to access. And on Board Game Geek, if you search for, if you go to the Board Game Geek page for courses and clubs, there is actually a zip file in the files section for this game. It's done by a fan. I think the person's name is Troy. It provides a total of 36 courses. Now, how accurate and how difficult they are, I couldn't say, but it gives us a much wider range of courses to play on. I think you can also find some pre-generated characters for sort of famous golfers if you want to use those instead. But in the book, there are rules for making up your own golfer. Now, as I mentioned just now, I am not a big golfer. I used to play the occasional round before I tore all of my knee ligaments when I was playing football back in the day. Haven't been able to play since then. But with the recent excitement in the Ryder Cup, I thought, yeah, go Europe. I thought it would be a good time for me to actually bring this game to the channel. It is a recent release, and I've actually been having a lot of fun with it. So let us go through the manual very, very quickly, because like I say, you'll only be using this to learn the game. When I've actually been playing, I've actually only been using the rules. So yeah, the manual is for learning purposes only, but we're going to come back and have a quick look at this, and I'll explain how to play the game. So let's take a quick look at the manual. Like I say, this is the document that you need when you're either creating a character or learning to play the game. Once you've played it a little bit, you probably find you don't need this at all. You'll just be referring to the rules. Paragraphs, set of paragraphs, pages. But let's take a quick look. So we have a page of credits. Also at the bottom here is a link to the Board Game Geek page. There's also at the top here a little bit of a note saying that the game is utilizing the James Bond 007 role-playing in Her Majesty's Secret Service RPG game. Got to admit, never played that, but it does look interesting. But yeah, it does use the same mechanics as that game. So if you're familiar with that game from ye olde RPG times, then this will kind of make sense to you. So we went over the contents just now in terms of what you get in the purchase. There's also, you'll require some D10s. I mean, it says that you're going to need percentile and individual. I kind of have two sets because sometimes, as well as for rolling sort of percentile, sometimes you'll be needing to roll D10s, and sometimes you'll be needing to roll multiple, depending on how good or how bad you hit the shot. Then it goes through a number of terms. I will go through these as we're playing the game because I've got to be honest with you, it's going to make a lot more sense as I'm explaining those as I'm playing, as I'm using the game. Same thing with the character creation. I'll explain everything as we create the character, but it tells you how to create your abilities, how to earn XP, your basic club average yards, depending on your power ability. There is a separate table for men and for women. And then it also goes through how to generate all of those skills on your player sheet. If I can find it, there we go. Yeah, so all these skills here, which are derived from your abilities with dice. All of that's explained very clearly. I will say, however, that in the document, it repeats this statement too many times. It's got here this little note. If you get a fractional number when doing any dividing, always round up to the nearest whole number. I don't think it's necessary to put that for every single skill. Just put it once. Just put it once in the description and that's it. You'll also notice that here for most of the skills, you'll be using power and accuracy as the generator. However, when you come over here to chipping, putting, and focus, you're using accuracy and will. So you will be using all three of your attributes at some point or another. It then explains how to perform skill tests. Again, this is going to be a lot easier for you guys to understand as you see me doing it, rather than me trying to explain it. because it's a sequence of checks. There'll be a number of dice rolls that you'll have to do, and you'll have to check various tables. So if I try to explain it like this, it's kind of going to be maybe confusing, maybe off-putting, maybe boring. So I'll go through all of how to play as we're actually doing the play. There are some notes regarding the clubs in terms of where they should be used. A reference here in terms of how to read the course document and the information for each hole. Again, I'll explain all this as we're playing the game. It'd be more interesting that way, but there is a reference inside the manual. Some help in terms of how to fill out the scorecard with an example and also a sort of descriptive example down the bottom here. Now this is designed to be a narrative golf simulator or RPG, so not necessarily a journaling game, but your scorecard can definitely be a form of record keeping or kind of journaling, I suppose. And then it goes through the steps of actually playing the game. Now, again, it's going to make a lot more sense if you guys watch me do it. So I'll explain every step of playing as I play. But essentially, you've got to choose 14 clubs because that's the rules. Those are the golf rules. So some of the clubs you're going to have to cross out. They're not going to be in your bag. At the start of every round, you have to roll for the weather. Now, the weather is going to stay the same for the entire round of 18 holes or 9 holes if you're playing 9 holes. And then at the start of each hole, you've got to record the basic info on your scorecard and you've got to determine the wind. Now, the wind can change from hole to hole. The weather won't. Now, the weather will have effects in terms of the strokes that you make. When you hit the ball, it could go further, it could go less, it can cause problems. Same thing with the wind. Depending on what type of wind is currently active, it may hinder, it may help you. But you've got to roll for the wind every hole and just once for every course for the weather. You then go to the tee off and take your first shot. After that, you then got to make every other shot until you, well, hopefully put the ball in the hole. And then there's, again, just a reference table for the multiplication. But again, I am going to now quickly create a character and play at least one hole with you guys so I can show you how this game plays and why I'm having a lot of fun and why, even if you aren't interested in golf, still might be worth a look. Let us make a character. Now, the name and the age, you can do whatever you want. So my character is imaginatively named Bob Smith, age 28. So I'm going to make it a male. And we've now got to roll up our 3 stats or our 3 abilities, generate our skills, and then the average yards for the clubs. That's it. Very, very easy. And then I think after that, once we've generated our character, I think for this video, I think we're going to, I think we'll do one hole with sort of a full narrative, a full explanation of what I'm doing. And maybe I'll do a second video where I do more holes, but in a more realistic fashion, so that I'm not explaining every little thing. But in this video, we'll explain everything so you know what's going on. Because I haven't really explained how you really play yet, have I? We're saving that for the gameplay. But, creating a character, okay, so we're creating 3 different stats, power, accuracy, and will. Each of these are rolled separately using a d10 plus 5. Now, I have selected some green dice for this, of course I have. So let's roll d10 plus 5 to see how strong we are, how hard we can hit the ball. We get a 6 plus 5, so that gives me a power of 11. Is that pencil clear or should I use a pen? I think the pencil's clear enough. Accuracy, we get a 5, which is a 10 already. Okay, so far, this is already the weakest character that I've been playing. And will, okay, we're very strong-willed, very high mental endurance and stuff. So that makes that 13, yes? 8 plus 5, 13. Okay. It looks like I'm going to be better at the sort of putting and chipping. and getting into a good position on the greens, because that's a lot of the time will and accuracy. The things like focus, putting and chipping is useful. But I'm not necessarily so good at whacking the hell out of the ball. So once you've got those three, XP you start at 0. You gain 1 experience point for every stroke under par that you do on a round of 18. So if you play a round of 18 holes, and at the end you finish 2 under par, you get 2 experience points. Now, if you finish at par or over par, you get like a gift 1 XP. Now, this means the game will take quite long to evolve and grow your character, because the number of points that you need to improve your skills is going to be the sort of cost of the new skill. So for example, if my skill with tee off woods is 15, I'm going to need to spend 16 experience points to raise it from 15 to 16. And you've got to do it 1 point at a time, yeah? So with that done, we can now look at our skills and roll up our skills. Oh, actually, we can actually do the average. Let's do the average yards first. So you do have 2 tables, one for women, one for men. So we use the men's table because we're playing Bob. So our power is 11. So these are going to be the average yards for each of the clubs. So we'll just quickly write those down. As if by magic, the numbers appeared. But yes, you have 16 clubs here, and you have the putter as well. But you're only allowed to bring 14 clubs with you in your bag. That's not a game requirement in courses and clubs. It's actually a golf requirement when you play golf. So we've got to get rid of 14, so 16. It's 16 here, plus the putter makes 17. So I've got to get rid of 3 clubs. So I think I'll get rid of, the 1 iron, probably one of the wedges, and let's get rid of the 9 iron. Probably going to regret that. But yeah, you can only have 14 clubs with you. So like I say, there's 16 here, plus the putter makes 17. You can only take 14, so you've got to get rid of 3. So I'm not bringing my 1 iron, 9 iron, or the, what's this one called? GW. Again, I'm not a huge expert on golf. I've played before. Gap wedge. We're getting rid of the gap wedge. So this is where you get your average yards, and this is going to be used during the game to determine a sort of basis in terms of how far you hit the ball. There will be modifiers, but this is going to be like the base value. Once you've done that, we move to the skills, and we'll try to calculate our skills. Now, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different skills, and each of them is going to be related to 2 of your abilities. The tee off woods down to short irons is going to be based on your power and accuracy. Your chipping to focus depends on accuracy and will. And the way that these are done is that you add the 2 relevant attributes together, you divide by 2, and then you add a d10 and 5. So for example, my power plus accuracy is 21. And it says here, you always round up. So this is 21, divide by 2 is 10.5. So we round it up, that becomes 11. So what I'm going to do, just to help me remember, I'm just going to put 11 there, because that is power plus accuracy divided by 2, rounding up. When we come to do accuracy and will later, these 2 added together is going to be 23. Divided by 2 is going to be 11.5. So round it up, it's going to be 12. So again, just making a note there for when I need to use them, because my memory ain't what it used to be. So so tee off woods. We use this skill whenever teeing off the first stroke using a driver, 3 wood, 5 wood, 1 iron, or 2 iron. So we use our power plus accuracy divided by 2, which is 11, plus 8, so that's 19, plus 5 is 24. So even though my power's not that brilliant, my tee off woods is actually pretty good thanks to the D10. Tee off irons. Use this skill whenever teeing off the first stroke using a 3 iron, 4 iron, 5 iron, 6 iron, 7 iron, 8 iron, 9 iron, and all the wedges. Right, again, power plus accuracy divided by 2 plus D10 plus 5. So same as we had before. So we've got 11. Oh, we're not so good at this one. 11, 12, 17. I think. Yep. Woods. Okay, so again, let's move the book this time. Right, woods, again, power. It's the same formula again. So we've got 11. Ooh, 11 plus 9 is 20, 25. So we're good with the woods. Long irons, again, exactly the same. So it is 16, 21. Mid irons, 17, 22. And short irons, 3. 14, 19. Okay. So yeah, so far this is actually the weakest character that I've been playing. Okay, now there's 3 left: chipping, putting, and focus. And as we mentioned just now, those are going to be accuracy plus will divided by 2, plus the normal sort of modifiers. So we're having 12 instead of 11 as our base value. So chipping, oh God, 14, 19. Putting, that's a bit better. 19, 24. And focus, 10, 22, 27. Very strong mentally. So focus, the skill occasionally comes into play when determining how close certain strokes are to the hole. I think if I remember correctly, this can sometimes happen when you're doing things like chipping. One of the steps that you have to do to find out how far the ball goes. I think focus is one of the skills that you get to use. So that's really good. Right, with that done, our character is essentially complete. That's all it is. That's all it is to create a character. Very, very simple. Now, let's prep the first hole that we're going to do. So with our character done, we now need to choose a course to play on. We are going to be playing St Andrews. Now, St Andrews, the course doesn't have any additional rules. I mean, I'm choosing this one because I haven't done this one yet. I've played some of the other ones, but like I say, I've been playing 9-hole sessions, not 18-hole sessions, because 18 holes takes a bit of time to do. But like, for example, like with Augusta, you've got a couple of holes here with some special rules, a narrow fairway, downhill fairway, that can affect the game in certain ways. But St Andrews doesn't seem to have any additional rules, which is okay. But there are plenty of hazards, bunkers and water and everything else. Okay. So we now need to fill out the basic information. Let's go back to the book. Let's go back to the book. Playing courses and clubs. So when we're about to start a game, we've got to choose a course. We've chosen St Andrews. We've got to choose our 14 clubs, which we have done. We have chosen to leave out the 1 iron, 9 iron, and the gar wedge, I think it's called. So I'm trying to have still a decent range in terms of the distance I can hit the thing. So we have to roll for the weather, and the weather will not change for the entirety of our course, of our run, of our round of golf. So we roll a d10, and we get a 5, so it's going to be wet. And when it's wet, we get minus 5 yards to all strokes except where on the green. So there you go. Got to admit, sometimes I forget this. You know me, if you've watched my videos, I sometimes forget all the little bits and pieces. But that will be a factor in terms of distance that I can hit. Another thing is that we're going to have to roll for the wind for every hole. Let me check whether this is still on camera. Yeah, okay. This will change, well, it could possibly change for every hole, but the weather's going to stay the same. I'm not going to bother putting the date. Okay, so at the start of each hole, first of all, we put down the hole information. So we're going to be doing hole number 1, and I'm going to go through this in detail, and then I think we'll do another video where we sort of go through faster, we play a game a bit faster. Right, so hole 1 is a par 4. So if you're not familiar that familiar with golf, basically a par 4 means that you should get the ball into the hole in 4 shots. That's kind of what they would consider as the normal result. The wind I'll do in a minute. The green difficulty, right, there are 3 different levels of green difficulty. You have level, slopes, and tricky. Each of them are going to provide different results in terms of when you're trying to putt the ball. Obviously, level is going to be the easiest. Slopes is a bit harder. Tricky is tricky. It's going to be the harder one. In this case, the first hole is... Okay, so our first hole's got a bit of a dodgy green. Not an easy green. What else is there? In terms of distance remaining, right, so from the tee to the green, at the front of the green is going to be 367 yards. The back of the green is going to be 400 yards. And if I hit it further than 416, it's out of bounds. Now, it is a par 4, so I don't think I'll be able to get onto the green in one hit. I mean, my driver, what's the average yards for my driver is 285. So, yeah, I'm not going to get there in one shot. We have one hazard, water hazard. So that could be a stream, it could be a little pool. And that's going to be between 323 and 366 yards. Now, the way that this game works is if I hit the ball within the distance shown for the hazard, it's not necessarily an automatic hazard that I'm going to be stuck in the water, but it could happen if your shot is bad enough. And all of this will be explained as you go through the rules and you follow the step-by-step sequence. So there could be an issue there. No additional rules. That's all we need so far for that. For the wind, now on the tables sheets, as well as the tables for rolling up all the bits and pieces, you do have a reference for your ball lie. So this is what you need to know when you start each shot. But also there is a quick reference here for the wind, because you've got to roll that every hole. So determine the wind, we've got to roll a d10. We get a 3, no wind. Now sometimes the wind is good. If you've got a bit of a tailwind, it can actually help you a bit. A headwind can also help you to prevent you from hitting it too far, I suppose. And then we've just got to tee off. So this is for stroke 0, just a basic info. On the tee. Now, in the book, it does have an example of how you're supposed to enter the information. You can do it however you want, but this is kind of the recommended format that you should be using. So since this is a par 4, I think for my first stroke, I'm going to use my driver. Because that's going to get me the furthest distance. I can then, basically, when I do my rolling, I can find out how far it goes. I can find out where the ball lands. Is it going to be on the fairway, which is the nice part of the approach? It could be in the rough. Could it be in the water? If it's in the water, you normally get penalty strokes. I don't think I'm going to reach the water in the first stroke. We have the first stroke, but we shall have to see. So, let's go to the... Don't need the book at the moment. Let's put the information here, like this. I'm going to shift around all the pages. We've got quite a lot of pages to muck around with. So we're going to be making our first shot with the driver. So I'm going to check the tables. It says here, if you're at the tee off, you're going to start at rule 001. If on your subsequent strokes or your subsequent hits after the first one, if you're on the fairway, you go to R003, in the rough 20, green 5, bunker 11, water 41, out of bounds 42. You just follow the relevant passage in the rules and it will tell you what you need to do, where you need to go, and what are the results. So we are going to be teeing off, which means we are starting at R001. which is here. And again, R002 seems to be missing. Right, tee off. Determine which club you're going to use and then follow its appropriate rule. So we're going to be using a driver, but there are options if you want to use other clubs. So with the driver, we're going to attempt a tee off woods skill test, which is this one here. We've got a skill of 24. Then it says the hole's tee off ease factor. Right. So when you're doing your strokes, or when you're attempting to hit the ball, whether it's at the tee off or sort of subsequent strokes, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be selecting the relevant skill. You're going to be using an ease factor, which I suppose you could think of it as difficulty. And when you're doing a tee off, when you're doing your first shot of the hole, oh, that's the wrong one. Where's the? Oh, it's here. You use the tee off ease factor, which is actually given for the hole. Subsequent shots or strokes, you will actually be told in the rules what will be the ease factor. Like for example, like here, fairway shot is telling you ease factor 7, ease factor 9. Down here, ease factor 1. This is when you're putting. Ease factor 1, 2, 3. So everything's referenced in the rules. There's nothing for you to worry about. Just follow the instructions. So we're going to be using the tee off ease factor. So for this hole number 1, it's going to be 7. So we use this multiplication table just to keep things simple, but it's essentially your skill multiplied by the ease factor. So like I say, for hole number 1, it's going to be 7, and my tee off for woods is 24. So 24 and 7 is 168. Then it says, then roll a d10 on table B. Oh, sorry, we've got to do table A, the quality rating first, and then roll a d10 on table B, tee off. So this is going to be the standard sequence for every shot. You find your success chance value. Now this doesn't represent the number you need to roll. It's going to be a reference number for the table. So we got skill level of 24, ease factor 7, 168. Okay, so then once you've found your success chance, you come to table A, success chance, and you reference the value that you get. So we got 168, which means we are on this row here. We then roll percentage to find out what quality rating we get, or in terms of how good was the stroke, how good was the hit. So we're rolling percentage. We get, oh no, that's not good. That's not good. When you're rolling on table A, low is good. But 94 is really not good at all. So 94 means it's quality 4. That's not good. I think I'm going to be in the rough probably. Right, 94, quality 4. So now we go to table B, the tee off. We're using a driver. We've got to check the club. Quality rating of 4. We roll a d10. I get a 1. I don't know if it's good or bad. Quality rating 4. We've got a 1. R004. So we go back to the rules. R004. Okay, select the most relevant. Now this is where the wind will take effect. Again, normally the wind, you don't have to worry about it unless it comes up in one of the rules paragraphs. So in our case, we have no wind. So no wind. Okay, ball travels the club's average yards minus 2d10 yards, and then go to R043. Okay, so our driver has an average yards of 285 minus 2d10. So minus 6 makes it 279. So our first shot goes 279 yards. But we haven't finished yet because it did say, if no wind, okay, then go to R043. R043. So again, if we happen to be in the range of the hazard, this is where it comes into effect. So R043 says if total yards equals water, go to R009. So that's basically going to say you're in the water, lose a shot, penalty shot, all that sort of stuff. If the total yards doesn't equal the water, go to R044. It's not within the yards for the water, thankfully, because the water is from 323 to 366, and we only went 279. So that's lucky. It was a bad shot. It could have got us in trouble, but we didn't quite reach the water, so we're okay. But we still haven't finished. It says here, if total yards doesn't equal the water, go to 44. If total yards equals a bunker, or if total yards doesn't equal a bunker, go to, okay, so in our case, we don't have any bunkers on hole number 1. So we go to 19. There's going to be a lot of flipping through the pages. I do recommend printing off more than one copy of the rules. 19. If total yards equals out of bounds, no. If total yards doesn't equal out of bounds, go to 28. Again, you're going to be flipping through, just like with the Star Drifter game that I did the video for. What was it? 28. 28. The ball is in the rough. Okay, so it could have been a lot worse. But that's what happens when you get low quality ratings. It basically means you did a really bad shot. So we end up in the rough. Now, you're also going to need a calculator or a good mathematics brain to calculate your distance remaining. I'm going to use a calculator because it's fast. So, okay, so we subtract the distance that we hit from the distance to the front of the green and the back of the green, and that basically gives me a new range to aim for to get it on the green. So we still have a minimum of 88 yards to go before we can get onto the green. So that will bring us to stroke 2, or our second shot of this hole. And we are in the rough. So we go back to our reference sheet here. If the ball, okay, so this is the ball lie, where the ball currently is when we're trying to do our next shot. If the ball is in the rough, we go to R020, or rule number 20. R20, rough. Okay, determine which club you're going to use and then follow its appropriate rules. So again, you've got to select which club you're going to use. Now, we have to go between 88 to 121. If you're going to use a wedge, you're essentially going to be doing a chip shot. So when you use a wedge for a shot like this, you can basically state a yardage that you're aiming for. Now be careful with this, because I got this wrong when I was learning the game and I had to check with Ken. There is a difference between when you're doing a chip shot and when you're doing a normal shot. With a normal shot, you're normally referencing the average yardage of the club. When you're doing a chip shot, you have to state what yardage you're aiming for, and it can be anything up to the sort of average yards. So I think that I might actually want to try and do a chip shot, but maybe use, yeah, I didn't take the gap wedge, maybe use the sand wedge, because I can do up to 110. I don't really want to go 110, but maybe I want to go 95. Yeah, but depends on the quality of the shot, because the quality of the shot could give you more distance, it could give you less distance. So maybe let's go for 100. Okay, so I'm going to use the sand wedge. I'm going to try and hit 100. I'm just going to put it in the corner there, because the actual distance that it goes may be different depending on what we roll. So we're in the rough. We're going to be trying to use a sand wedge. So it says here, go to R21. So this is going to be a rough chip shot. Select the most relevant. So now you've got to determine the distance. If you're 39 yards or lower, you go to R22. Or you can select your target yardage. Again, don't get this confused. Again, I did this when I was learning the game. I was just seeing the word yardage and assuming it was the same thing. Target yardage is different. You state a distance, not automatically use this one. Up to your wedges, average yards, then choose the most relevant. Okay, so if the total yardage is between 40 and 99, attempt a chipping test at ease factor 9. If your target yardage is 100 plus, attempt a chipping skills test at ease factor 8. Ease factor 9 would be a slightly easier shot, because we want a higher ease factor to get a higher multiplier. But that means if I go for 100 or 110, it's going to be ease factor 8. So if I do it slightly below, if I do, for example, like 99 or 98, then I'm getting ease factor 9, which will be slightly easier. So I'm gonna attempt. I'm not going to do 100. Where's me thing? I'm not going to go 100 because that gives me a slightly higher or slightly worse ease factor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, let's say 98. Okay, 90. I'm going to aim for 98 yards for this chip shot. Chipping is 19 at what am I doing? 9, isn't it? Ease factor 9. 171 actually. Okay, so 171 puts me on this row here. We roll percentage. Oh, come on. 74 is a quality 3. A quality 3. And then it says, roll a D10 on table F, approach shot. Okay, approach shot, table F. We're using a wedge, quality 3, D10. We get a 9. 56. So let's check 56. Okay, ball travels target yardage plus D10 minus 5 and then go to R18. Okay, so we're getting, what did we select? We selected 98, right? So we selected 98 as our target yardage, plus D10, 10 minus 5. So we're adding plus 5 to that, so that becomes 103. So the ball travels 103, which does put me on the green. However, it says here, then we've got to go to R018. Again, you're going to be flicking through these pages a lot during the game. Select the most relevant. If total yards is out of bounds, no. Past the green but not out of bounds, no. Reaches the green, yes. Go to 17. Okay, ball is on the green and rolling. If the green difficulty, okay, what's the green difficulty? Tricky, oh no. Go to RO52. So each shot's going to be like this. You're going to be sort of taking all these different steps, going through these different rules paragraphs to find out what you get. Okay, here we go. If your current club is a wedge, attempt a focus skill test. Here we go. This is where the focus test comes in. And again, it depends what club you used to get on the green will determine sort of how difficult it is. If you used a driver and you got on the green, it's going to be an ease factor 1, which is really hard. So we used a wedge, so we're doing a focus skill test. I'm good at that. 27. A focus skill test at ease factor 8. So 27, 8 is 216. So 216, we've got to do a quality rating first. Always do a quality rating first. Was it 21? Oh God, my memory. 216, wasn't it? 27, 8, 216. 216. Roll percentage. God, so high all the time. I'll use my other dice next time, I think. 79 is quality 3 again. Quality 3. Tricky. Oh no, ease factor 6. What did I... Hang on. I think I chose the wrong one, didn't I? Ease factor 6, 27. Yeah, 162. I did it wrong. So we got 79, was it? At 162. Sorry, I did the wrong one. Still quality rating 3. Okay, never mind. It's still the same kind of result. Then roll a D10 on table C, reached green, which is over here. So we're quality 3. And we get a 10. I don't know if that's good or bad. R039. So we check to see what happens now. 39. Roll a 2d10 to determine how many feet the ball is from the hole. Not yards, feet. The ball is on the green. Okay, so we're going to be doing putting, but let's see how far away we are. So I'll take that as a d10, that was a 7. So it is 16 feet away from the hole. So we are on the green. We're 16 feet away. So for the third shot, if we're lucky, we could actually end up with a birdie. So we are on the green. And we're going to try and putt. We're going to try and sink the putt. All right, we've got 16 feet to go. What does it say here? Ball lie. Where is your ball? The ball is on the green. So we start at R005. Okay. You are putting. Select the most relevant. And it's going to be distance. So we are 16 feet away. 16 feet. So we check 16 feet. So 15 to 19. Attempt a putting skill test at ease factor 5. So putting, I've got 24. Ease factor 5 is 120. Okay. 120. Let's roll. Oh my God. Oh, that's better actually. That's much better. 37. It's still quality 3. I thought I did better that time. So quality 3. Dump dump. Each 25. And then roll d10 on putting. Table 10. Okay, putting. Table 10. Putting. It's tricky. Quality 3. 7. R024. How did we do? Did we manage to putt it? Let's have a look. 24. Hold out. We got it in. We managed to hole or to sink it. Woo! So we did that in 3 strokes, which means I'm 1 under par for the first hole. Excellent. And that's how the game works. For each of the strokes, for each of the holes, you're following a sequence of entries in the rules, following the instructions that it gives you in terms of what skill to use, what tables to use, what dice to roll, and then where to go afterwards if it has things afterwards. But it's not difficult because the rules really do guide you through. They hold your hand and guide you through every step of playing the game. But yeah, that's how the game is. And then you would basically repeat the process for the remaining holes. It does a really good job of putting you on the fairway, putting you on the course, on the golf course, even though you don't have like a graphic of the hole and plotting the ball's position on like a graphic map or something of the hole. You know, it makes you feel where the bunkers are, where the water is and everything else. So it's good. I actually really enjoy this game. And like I say, initially when you first see the game, it's like, there is a lot of flipping between pages as you're going from paragraph to paragraph, but that's a common thing with Ken's games. It doesn't make it any less interesting or exciting or fun. But like I say, I would recommend printing out a couple of copies of the rules because it may get damaged with all the backwards and forwards that you're going to do. But yeah, I do highly recommend this game. I've been having a lot of fun with it. What we'll do is I will do a second video where I will continue this round of golf. I don't know whether I'll be able to complete the front 9, but we'll do another video for gameplay where we'll do a bunch more holes and you can kind of see things maybe a little bit faster. Otherwise, this video is going to be over an hour long. It may be over an hour long as it is. But join me in the next video as we go through and carry on playing the St. Andrews. Well, one under par at the moment, so we're doing pretty well so far. But yes, hope you enjoy this. I will leave all the links down below for the games. And also I'll put a link down below for the Board Game Geek page where you can find the fan file, the fan zip file, which has a bunch of other courses. Oh, and also legendary players. I think Ken's also uploaded some files with some legendary players generated here. This guy's not legendary. Not yet. Right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Do recommend this game, highly recommend it. I think it's only like $4 on drive-thru. Use the link below if you can. I am an affiliate with drive-thru, so every time you purchase a game using one of my affiliate links, I do get a little bit of credit, which I then use to purchase other games. In fact, this was actually purchased using some of my credit on drive-thru. But yeah, use the links if you can, guys. Really appreciate it. And don't forget to like, subscribe, add comments, and ring the bell for notifications. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Until next time, take care. Stay safe. 4